Welcome to the IVF Abroad podcast for people who are struggling with infertility and trying to conceive, and who are facing more obstacles than options when it comes to having fertility testing or treatment in their home countries. Alongside other experts, I will share, educate and empower you on your journey and help you to learn more about going abroad for advanced fertility testing and treatments like IVF and egg donation. I'm Emma Haslam, your host, now mum of one, and the go-to expert in fertility treatment abroad. Since the birth of our son in 2018, I have made it my mission to make fertility treatment more informed, transparent, accessible, supported and affordable for more people. And I help people just like you to become unstuck, to find a best fit clinic that truly meets their needs, and to have fertility treatment on their terms and timescales so they can achieve their dreams of growing their families. And I'm here now to help you too. Be sure to check out the free resources in the show notes for more help after listening to today's episode. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. After a short break for the festive period, I am now back with you here in 2026, bringing you more solo episodes and also some more guest episodes, which is exciting. I hope that for those of you that celebrate Christmas, you managed to survive, if not thrive, through that period of time. I know for so many people, for many different reasons, it can be super difficult. But I hope it was a peaceful Christmas and that you were able to enjoy some downtime. And here we are now in another year, and all of that is done and dusted for another 12 months. At the start of a new year, people talk a lot about letting go of things like stress, pressure, negativity, and all of that stuff is great, of course. But when it comes to things like trying to conceive and fertility, letting go isn't just about the kind of mindset side of things. It's also about making decisions. Because I see people holding on to things that can actually be harming them, and things that are quietly wasting things like time, money, emotional energy, and their chances. And this is an uncomfortable truth. People stay stuck for too long. And people stay stuck for too long because they are confused, they're overwhelmed. So I say this with love and without judgment, and because I've been there. But we stay stuck for far too long, or we keep doing the same things that we've always done, expecting different results. And it takes time, it takes energy and money, and can decrease our chances. So today I want to talk about the things that I wish that more people would stop tolerating on this journey. And this isn't because you failed. This isn't with judgment, as I've said. It might be because no one's actually ever told you that you don't have to accept these things. Or maybe you've never stopped to think, gosh, that's what I'm doing. It's always easier for somebody else on the outside, isn't it, to look on in. You know, I've worked with over 200 people. I've got people thousands in my community. So I get to see and hear a lot of things. And there are definitely some similarities and things that we all do that actually don't serve us. And, you know, you don't have to accept some of the things that are happening. And in many cases, there are some choices of things that we can make to change the course of our journey. So it isn't about doing more. It's not about trying harder. But it is about letting go of things that might feel safe, might feel sensible, normal, but that are actually not serving you. we lose time on this journey because we are sometimes not doing anything. And that can be because we're waiting for things like NHS treatment, perhaps. And there's nothing we can do about that. If privately isn't an option for us, then sadly that's the reality, isn't it? But if you're in the private system if you're in the private system, being, in the UK, abroad, whatever, we lose time, often stuck in indecision, stuck in overwhelm, making decisions that feel safe because it's something that we're used to. So that might be something like choosing a local fertility clinic or staying with the same fertility clinic, even if you keep getting the same results. And they feel easier in the moment, but actually long term, when they're not serving us, that's not easier. So everything I'm going to talk about today kind of fits into this. So the first thing I want to talk about is letting go of waiting and indecision. I mean, as a person, I am very indecisive when it comes to myself and making big life decisions. So believe me when I say I really do understand how this feels. But what I also know to be true is this definitely does not serve me. And sometimes you just need to make a decision and go with it. You might need to go and get more information from somewhere or somebody to help you to make that decision. But ultimately, not making the decision and just waiting, it steals your time. It steals your energy. And, this is a time-sensitive thing, isn't it? And being in limbo, actually, I think is one of the worst things. All of the loops in your head, things like waiting lists, and this can be privately too. Waiting for that light bulb moment to come, but actually not going and seeking out the information or having conversations with people that are going to help you to make a decision. So waiting for that clarity just to come, but it doesn't come. And time just goes so fast. Like, I can't believe we're here at the beginning of another year. Like, time goes so fast. Yet actually, a lot of things can happen in a year that can make such a difference. I got an email from a client on, was it Christmas Eve or Christmas Day in 2025, saying, I just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas and just say we began our IVF drugs this time last year and here we are with our daughter. Like, a lot can change in a year, but also a year can go by and suddenly we find ourselves in another year. Sometimes we're waiting for the right time. And you know what? Sometimes the right time doesn't come. Sometimes there's never a right time. Often people are waiting because making the decision just feels too overwhelming. And that can be because it's such a difficult topic, fear of getting things wrong, too much information, too much researching, trying to do things by yourself, not understanding what is the correct information, not the correct information, being too painful to think about. This is a painful stuff, isn't it? And waiting because there's nobody pushing you to choose apart from like yourself. So sometimes, and sometimes waiting is the right thing to do. Sometimes absolutely we need to pause between things. We need to sometimes take time out. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes we stay stuck in indecision because it feels less risky than action. And actually that's not true. It's time sensitive, whether we like it or not. And our indecision can cost us time, and months can just pass quietly without anything really changing. And I'm not saying this to make anybody feel bad, but I just want you to check in with yourself, because I think sometimes that self-awareness can be helpful in making us think, what do we need to be able to take the next step? And sometimes it's about breaking it down into teeny tiny steps so it makes it less overwhelming, but so you're still moving forward. Because just as the months pass quietly, so do the years. And I don't want that for you. You don't want to be stuck in this forever. Letting go of easy default decisions. This is something I hear so much. What do I mean? So many people choose a local fertility clinic because it feels easier. And I get it. Closer to home, same language, first language, familiar. Perhaps they know other people locally who went there. This feels like the sensible choice. You can get there generally within, an hour of where you live? Brilliant. Maybe we also don't realise perhaps that all fertility clinics are not the same. They paint themselves to be, but in fact are not. So you're not necessarily thinking, particularly at the beginning of your journey maybe, unless someone's pointing it out, that this might not be the right fertility clinic for you, for your medical needs, for your budget, for your personality, etc. But in terms of logistics, great. But convenience is not the same as a good fit. Easy now can mean regret later, especially if the options are limited, if the protocols aren't personalised, if that clinic doesn't truly specialise in what you need, if that clinic's going to burn through your budget very quickly, if you're going to be told after not so long, this is all we can offer. I can't honestly stress this point enough about how important it is to get the right fertility clinic for your medical needs, but also for your care needs and also for your budget, to stretch your budget further. And also for you not to look back with any regrets, no matter what the outcome. That is so important. Okay, this is a big one for me. Lots of people are relying on things like Google, AI, free clinic matching platforms, and friends to choose a fertility clinic. And I get why. Let's be honest, it's free. However, let's start with the free platforms. They only match you to clinics with taking very little information. You'll notice they ask very few questions and they recommend very few clinics. Those questions that you are asked are just around things like age, whether you're looking for donation, whether you are in the LGBTQI plus community, whether you are doing this by yourself. Very little information. It doesn't go into the nuances of what you like as a person and your budget and telling you what you need to know and guiding you through the process. So it's very surface level. And they get paid by the fertility clinics when you go through their systems and have a consultation and then become a client, which isn't always transparently communicated, which is wrong, but also it means they're making biased recommendations. But not only are they making biased recommendations, they are matching on a purely surface level, like really surface level. It's not a proper match. And you're not going to get the guidance and support that you need to prepare for and have your consultations, to choose the right clinic and to guide you through the things that you need to know to have your fertility testing, treatment, gynae procedures abroad. That's similar again with AI. Obviously, AI isn't getting paid, but AI isn't asking you the questions about your medical history and your budget and your personality and things like that. So again, it's not telling you where it's safe to go and have fertility treatment. It's not telling you where it's suitable to go and have your fertility treatment. So we just need to be a little bit careful. And also there are some services out there as well, which are professing to offer, free support. Again, nothing is free. They're being paid somewhere by somebody. And it's super, super important. There are influencers in the fertility space that are going out to large social media followings and on things like television and either not being transparent about the fact that they're being paid by a fertility clinic or they're getting free treatment, free testing, or they're just not saying that they paid for their treatment in full, this is not an ad, etc., etc. So either way, they need to be doing one of those things because it's not transparent. My suspicions are that they're being paid and or getting free stuff from a clinic And they're going out there saying clinics are the best thing since sliced bread, which they will do if they're getting free stuff. But they're not declaring it. They're not being transparent. And these people have huge accounts and huge influence and people hanging on to their every word. And what I'm also seeing is spread of misinformation to try and sell going abroad for having fertility treatment. And whether some of this is intentional or not, it's misinformation, and you deserve to get the correct information for you to then make your own informed decisions. Like, I'm not here to sell to you that you should go abroad for your fertility treatment, because it's not right for everybody. It's right for a lot of people, but it's only right if it's at the right clinic and in the right country, and that you understand what you're doing every step of the way to make the right decisions for you and your family. And there is so much misinformation out there, and that is wrong. You deserve better than that. Anything free is not neutral. And, well-meaning friends matching you to clinics is great. If they've had a good experience, that's wonderful. That's one person's experience. And also, it doesn't mean to say that it's the right clinic for your needs. Your needs and your friends' needs will probably be different. Your personalities might also be different. Your budgets might be different. And you're going on the case study of one. So I would also be very aware of doing that. The other thing is, looking in too many places like this can also give you so much information that then paralyzes you, and that you can't then, linking back into my last point, you can't make a decision because you've got so much information that actually then you don't know which is the priority. And of course, friends mean well, and it's great to talk to your friends who have been and had fertility treatment. Absolutely. But, they're not experts, and you just got to be a little bit careful about where you are taking your advice and, what information you're consuming, and about whether or not this is actually factually correct, because we can end up getting false guidance, and that false guidance sometimes is purposefully false in order to try and sell, for example, a particular clinic, or going abroad, or staying in the UK, whatever it is. I'll give you another example. I saw a UK clinic who were promoting a particular package that is very low cost. But it's one of these where actually when you go and look at it, which I have done, very few people would qualify. So it's one of those packages where when you read it and you sort of go, well, infertile people don't actually qualify for this package. So it's all right putting a package out and saying, oh, this is a lot cheaper than going abroad. But actually nobody really qualifies for it. So it's not. And they were overinflating prices of going abroad. And I was like, where are they getting this information from? And not saying where they were getting this price information from. And, it just beggars belief that people put this stuff out when they can't quantify it. But it's everywhere. So we need to be smart and, just have it in the back of our minds that everything that we see out there isn't necessarily true. And that makes it really hard for you, I know. But, there are people like myself who will tell people the good, the bad and the ugly about going abroad, and what people need to know and watch out for, and the highlights, and match people independently. So the help is there. You don't have to do this alone, but, just be a little bit aware of these things. Because I think sometimes, when you're in the midst of the trenches of infertility, we're not always thinking about things. And, sometimes you've never thought about these things in this way before. And that's okay. But, from the 200 plus people that I've worked with and people in my community, I see these things. I hear these things as well. Unexplained infertility. I want anybody that's heard this to let go of that in terms of it being the end of the road for you. Unexplained means unexplored or not explored enough. There will be an answer. It's a description, it's not a diagnosis. If you're being told this by your clinic, you need a new clinic. The NHS says this a lot, and I'm not slating the NHS. We're lucky to have an NHS. It's a very stretched system, but you have to bear in mind that particularly with the NHS, they just do not have the resources. And They use very similar protocols for everybody. And, they're trying to limit referrals for IVF and things. And both privately and within the NHS, this is just used far too often, usually when people are with the wrong clinics. And sometimes what we need at the beginning with a clinic, you may choose a clinic and it might be fine in the beginning, but if we've had multiple failed cycles, if you're doing the same things each time, if they're not looking at changing things, testing things, then you need to be stopping and thinking, hang on, we need a change of direction here, because it's wasting your time, it's wasting your money, and there will be a reason. We just need to find it. And this can be found. I've worked with loads of people with unexplained infertility, and we've found the reason every single time. And that reason can be the difference between people having a baby or not. And it's difficult, I know, to kind of work out what testing to do and at what point, because it's extra cost and it's extra time. And sometimes we feel like IVF is the answer. And sometimes IVF is the answer. But sometimes it's about going into IVF confidently because you know that everything's okay. Or if you've been, going into IVF with really, really optimal conditions, or if you've had multiple failed cycles, getting to the bottom of what's happening first before moving to IVF. Maybe you're at the juncture of, do we go down the egg donation route? But actually you want to just make sure there's, nothing else that's going on before you go down that route. So it's just to have a think about if this is what you're facing. And I'm sorry, because I know how frustrating that must be to be told you have unexplained infertility and then sent away often with very little help, which isn't helpful to you, is it? And privately, I hear this from people coming to me that have said, we've been told we've got unexplained infertility and we're just unlucky. It's just categorically not true. And this is coming out of the mouths of doctors sometimes, which is really quite unbelievable. And what they should be saying is, it's time to look for a different clinic. And you are allowed to seek care elsewhere. You are allowed to leave your current fertility clinic and go elsewhere. That's okay. All of that information is not lost. That time, it might feel like you've lost that time, it might feel like it's been a waste of time. It hasn't. Every single round of IVF is both therapeutic and diagnostic. All of that information, any tests that you have had, can go to the next clinic. It's not lost. It all paints a picture and helps the right facility then to be able to look in the right places to work out what's going on for you. I know that there are people out there that think that going abroad for fertility treatment is a second-class decision. So I want you to let go of that as a belief, because going abroad is not failure and it's not reckless when it's done properly. You are right to think that going abroad as a blanket statement for fertility treatment is okay everywhere, because it's not. We know it's not. We know that not everywhere is safe and not everywhere is ethical, but there are lots of places that are. So this is just about doing things properly. There are some fantastic clinics, labs, outcomes that are outside of the UK. There really are. And you can stretch your budget further, again, depending on where you're choosing to go. You can access care often quicker, with high standards, and you've got more choice. But let's be honest, winging it, which is what my husband and I had to do, which I do not recommend, can take you down the wrong path, can lead you to making safe, unethical decisions. It can lead you to choosing the wrong clinic, so wasting money, not stretching your budget as far as you had imagined because you hadn't understood the costs of things in advance, and living in more stress planning your treatment because you've chosen the wrong clinic or because you don't know what you're doing because you haven't done this before. How can you know what you're doing? So winging it abroad without any information and without knowing what you're doing would be a second-class decision. But actually, going abroad, a lot more people are beginning to realise now that there are some fantastic clinics out there, and actually there is a better way when done properly with the right clinic. So the problem isn't going abroad. You don't have to be brave and do this without guidance and unsupported. Fixing mistakes costs more than doing it properly in the first place. Choosing the wrong clinic, home or abroad, is wasting your time and your money. And winging it can actually end up being more expensive and super stressful. So as I said, the problem's not going abroad. The problem is when people go abroad without the right guidance. So, as I kind of said at the beginning, to sum up, people lose time on this journey when they're either stuck and so therefore not able to do anything, or they feel like they're not able to do anything because they're overwhelmed, because they're stuck in indecision, and they're losing time because this isn't serving them. Or they're doing things that feel sensible on the surface, but again, are not serving them. So we're losing time either in the wrong direction or because we're not doing anything. But letting go of these things, taking some tiny steps forward, sitting down and being honest with ourselves and looking at what is holding us back. Is there any control over our situation? I know there's a lot of it that's out of our control, but there are certainly elements usually where people can control certain things. And it's just about being honest. What do you need next? Do you need some help? Do you need more guidance? Do you need to make a decision? Do you need to do the thing? Because that's what finally creates the movement. I really hope that this episode's been helpful in giving you a little bit of a truth talk with love. And if you've been listening and recognizing yourself in some of the things that I say, this episode is to get you to think, because I want the best for you. And it's, as I said earlier, it's said with love, it's said without judgment. But I see these things all the time. I saw these things in myself at the time. I see those things in myself in different ways now. And I know that indecision and waiting when we do have a choice, or feeling that you're doing a lot but not really moving forward, is not serving us. And this is where your next step really matters. If you want to explore getting more of my help, looking at working together, if this makes sense for you, then I work one-to-one with people who don't want another year of going around in circles and who want to move forward with the right information so they can make the right decisions for them with my guidance to help to make this year the year where things change. Then go to the show notes, get in contact, and I do have some very limited availability remaining in January. I've also got other options to work with me as well. So you can book in a call. Let's have a chat about what support and guidance you might need, and we can go from there. Until next week, my friends, take care, and I shall speak to you soon. Bye. If you are facing more obstacles than options and want to learn more about how to overcome your fertility testing and treatment challenges in your home country so that you too can fast track to growing your family and on your terms, then check out my free training at yourivfabroad.co.uk/free masterclass. Don't forget to rate and subscribe so you don't miss an episode and so that I can reach and help more people. Thanks for listening.